So happy snow day to all of you out there. The work that we're going to do today is essentially just kind of carrying on with the note that we began yesterday talking about our universe, and to finish off some of the last little itty bitty pieces that we have to cover. So let's start by just doing a quick recap of the planets in our solar system. So here's our sun at the center, and using this mnemonic, my very educated mother just served us nachos. That will help us to remember the planets, starting from the planet closest to the sun, which is, starting with the letter M, Mercury. Then we have Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and then finally Neptune, with Pluto somewhere out here being a dwarf planet. So interestingly enough, only the first 5 planets, Mercury, Venus, and then Mars over here, Jupiter and Saturn, are visible to us. They're closer. We can't see Neptune or Uranus, but we can see these 5 inside planets. So the first 4 in our solar system are considered to be the terrestrial planets, and you'll be learning a little bit about that yourselves on your own. And the last 4, these guys right here, are called the gas giants, and you'll find out a little bit more about that later. So in class, we've talked about the sun, we've talked about planets, we've talked about the solar system and stars. I want to talk about moons now. So a moon is a satellite, and a satellite is really just any object, any celestial object or body that orbits a planet. The moon happens to be a natural satellite. It's just there, whereas satellites that we think about is an artificial satellite. Okay, but the moon just orbits the planet just like a satellite orbits a planet. So when we talk about our moon, remember we're going to capitalize that M, just to make sure that we're talking about our moon versus moons of other planets. Now, typically, people are really surprised to find out that there are moons other than our moon, right? So in fact, all but 2 of the planets have moons of their own, and moons, notice, is plural, so some planets have more than 1 moon. So Mercury and Venus do not have moons. The Earth, of course, we have 1 moon. Jupiter, you'll notice, has its moons here, Saturn as well, and so on and so forth. So if you can imagine, if you were on the planet Jupiter, that you would see more than 1 moon up in the sky at night. Pretty crazy. Some more points of comparison between the Earth and the moon. So our moon is small compared to the Earth, but the difference between the Earth and the moon is not as great as the difference between the Earth and our sun, which we talked about yesterday. So the moon has a diameter, that's the distance across, that's 1/4 the size of Earth. So in other words, if I were to take this moon right here, and I could fit 4 of them across the size of the Earth. But the moon weighs about 80 times less than the Earth. So even though it's only 1/4 of the diameter, it weighs far, far less, proportionally speaking, as compared to the Earth. It's a lot less dense. So people will often say, well, when I look up in the sky, the sun and the moon don't look that different in size. You're telling me that the sun is 109, or the Earth, 109 Earths can fit inside the moon, across the moon, but 4 moons will go into the planet Earth. So, well, what the heck's going on here? Well, the reason for the fact that the moon and the sun sort of appear about the same scale is that the sun's a whole lot bigger, but it's also a lot farther away, right? The moon is actually fairly close to us, which, even though it's pretty small, because it's so close, it appears to be about the same size as the sun. In fact, our moon is only 384,000 kilometers away, which, relatively speaking, is not that far. It's about 55 times the distance across Canada. Now, I would venture to guess that most people would suggest that the moon is luminous, and that's because when you look out at it at nighttime, you see it seems to kind of provide its own light, but in fact, it is non-luminous, meaning that it does not provide its own light. So then why the heck is it kind of glowy here? Well, the reality is that it is reflecting light from other luminous sources such as the sun. Crazy, huh? So the last term, one of the terms that I heard mentioned yesterday that people knew or were interested in learning more about is galaxy. So a galaxy is just basically a system that's composed of millions or even billions of stars, depending on the size of the galaxy, along with the gas and the dust, all kind of held together by that by the force of gravity, okay, some kind of gravitational force of attraction. So our galaxy is called the Milky Way. And if you were to look, oh, there's our bell. If you were to kind of say, well, where is our whole solar system? Our solar system is right here, just a tiny little piece. So if I were to zoom in on that tiny little piece, then we would see our solar system. And we already know how big the sun is. So you can imagine how big the galaxy is. And there are billions of galaxies making up our universe. That should give you an idea about just how huge, how massive our universe is. So let's put this all into context. So here's me or you, some person, okay, in Canada. Okay, so apparently this person lives sort of in, I don't know, eastern part of Canada or western part of Canada. Okay, here's Canada on the planet Earth. The planet Earth, in conjunction with the sun and all the other planets making up our solar system. Our solar system is just an itty little bit of the Milky Way galaxy, made up of billions of stars and dust and other things. But the Milky Way galaxy is only one of maybe million or even billions of galaxies that make up the universe. Pretty impressive. So that is the end of today's note. There will be work to go along with this that I want you to take a look at. Hopefully you're able to access our skeleton note and fill it in as you're watching this video. I will be posting some homework. Here, I'll just scroll down to it. On page 308 in your textbook, numbers 1 to 9, to help you consolidate some of this information. But be sure to defer any questions until we meet again. Happy snow day again.